Just take those words. Just allow your heart to open and receive them. I am quiet. I am calm. I am at ease. For it is in this place that we experience all that is good. Where we experience the oneness, the wholeness of God. We experience all that there is, all that matters is the love that is within us. We experience that. And we embrace that. I invite you, if you have any doubts of who you are, if you have any concerns for a loved one, if there's any situation in your life where you just want to control it, just allow you to let that go and embrace and see them or the situation as whole and good. Jesus said, where there are two or more gathered in my name, there I will be. And we are here today on this beautiful Sunday morning, willing and opening ourselves to experience our Christ within. To experience the love that we hear about. To experience at a greater, deeper level the love that is shared with us. You are one. You are at peace. When we say you are at one, you're at the one point within you that you can experience greatness. You are having that communion with the divine. Embrace that as we move into silence. If there's anybody out there that you would love to bring into this place of peace and oneness, bring them with you. Caress that idea of love and peace. Embrace it and know there is no separation. As you bring your thoughts back into this room, into the community that we are, you remember that feeling of happiness. If only for a brief moment, the feeling of being one with something greater and bigger. And that feeling of letting go of any mess that we might think we have created or that has been created and given to us. And we give thanks for that moment, for that mustard seed of faith and hope and love. And so it is. Amen. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I almost didn't want to come out of there. It's like, come back, Michelle, come back. So, show of raising hands. My back was to you, so I didn't get to see who was here for the very first time. Could you raise your hands? Well, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. You know, it's my honor and privilege to be able to come up here and to share what has been given to me. And you, this community is beautiful and you're divine. And I might sound like a broken record because I've said this over and over again, but that's how I feel. I feel like I am being spiritually fed by coming here and seeing your faces, by being hugged by each one of you, by somebody saying, I met you here before, I'm glad that you're here now. So thank each one of you. I just want to thank each one of you for allowing me to be here and to share, make your mess your message. I'd like to know what I'm going to say about that too. So if you can figure it out, we'll have a story to tell. So I'm going to ask you, have you ever wondered how you were going to move beyond the feeling of being inadequate? Not being a good parent, or perhaps not being a good employee, or even a good partner. Have you ever had that feeling just because you made a mistake? Or because you stood by a statement or a belief that you felt was true in your heart, and yet you were being treated as if you had done something wrong? If you have, then you have met my daughter. Thank God she's not here. She'd be right on my high right now. The truth is that I've had a situation with my daughter, and we'll go into that more now. I'm going to stick to what's going on here. So have you convinced yourself that you will ever be able to recover from a loss? Whether it is a loss of a job, a best friend, perhaps, a limb. I'm not talking about a limb from a tree, but a limb. Maybe it's a limb of your heart, a connectedness to your heart. Maybe it's your physical body, your home, your marriage, or maybe a lost wager, or maybe a lost heirloom, something that was precious to you. Losing something and making a decision that wasn't in your best interest of others doesn't mean that you can never come back from it. Because sometimes when you lose that, when you feel like you have lost something that perhaps you really never had in the first place, but it feels like that you can't recover from this situation. Have you ever felt that way? Yes. It could be an object. Well, I'm here to tell you that you can recover from this. We don't have to let our mistakes dictate or define who we are. So what I would like to do is challenge you in taking the belief or the thought process and turning it into a positive. taking that belief that you have lost something, or that belief that you've made this monumental mistake, the belief that you have some kind of a mess here and you don't know how you're going to get out of it. And I'm going to challenge you to turn inward and to look at how you can make that a positive experience. It is said that it is not our mistakes that define us, but how we deal with them that creates our identity, creates our reality. Do you believe that? Yeah. Yes. It's how we deal with these areas in our life that creates who we are today. If you were to look outside right now, everybody go ahead and take a look, and if you were to say, I believe it is a beautiful day out there and I'm going to have a great day. Say that with me. I believe it's a beautiful day out there and I'm going to have a great day. Do you believe that you'll leave here with that in your mind?
Yes.
Okay. Now, look, you can look outside and go, oh my gosh, it is hot out there. It's sweaty. I don't want to sweat. I don't want, oops, women don't sweat. We perspire, or perhaps we glisten. I don't want to go and do the yard work. I don't want to have to walk the dog again. My grandkids are going to come over and they're going to make a mess of my backyard. I know that I love them, but by golly, I really want them to go within the hour. Do you believe that that's the experience you're going to have if that event happens? Right? I make fun of that. I would never say that about my granddaughter. Ever. Actually, that's not true. But that's the gift of grandchildren, right? You can give them back. Here you go. Take them back. I love my granddaughter. But it is up to us to make our mess, what seems to be our mess, our message. What can I look at it spiritually? How can I look at it spiritually and find a message out of that? How can I find hope? How can I find just even an ounce of peace? Anita Morjani had a near-death experience, and recently she was at Unity of Phoenix, and she came in and she shared her story, and what an amazing individual. She was suffering from cancer for 4 years, and they were giving her terminally, she was done. Like the doctors knew that this was her last, this is it. Family's being called in, she's going to, they don't give her but hours to live at this point. And she remembers in her experience that she realizes she was on the other side. That in this experience, she realized, she was saying, questioning, how could I have, before she got to this place, she was like, how could I let my thoughts and my feelings, but she's very much Eastern medicine, right? She believes that our thoughts, this is what Unity believes, that our thoughts create our reality, right? Our thoughts create our reality. And she says, at one point, she says, needing certainty shackles her potential for the unexpected. Feeling I don't know, and let's see what happens, allow her to provide answers and solutions that may completely be indipendent and outrageously yes, that word. It's just, I can't think of it, so big. Synchronistic. Thank you. So when she stepped into the realm of ambiguity, she realized that at her full potential, letting go of all previous beliefs, disbeliefs, dogma, and doctrines, put the infinite universe at her disposal. But that's what she believed. She believed that her thoughts and her everything, she believed that she invited the cancer in. But she had a phobia about it for years. That people around her were dying of it, and that she was certain that that was going to happen to her. And it did. And when she had this near-death experience, when she experienced what we like to call heaven, heaven is a state of consciousness, a state of bliss. It's not, Amina doesn't believe it's a place that we go to it in our consciousness. When she went to the side, she was able to release and let go. She was able to be at one with Spirit. So I ask you, what is it in your life right now that you can see an opportunity for spiritual growth? What mess in your life can you find that opportunity for spiritual growth? Here she is dying. And in that moment, instead of beating herself up for creating this cancer in her body, she shifted. And when she shifted, she went to the other side. She went to the other side in spiritual consciousness. And there she found peace. There she was able to find her way in this place. Obviously, she's written a book, so you know she came out of that, right? This is a very powerful book and a very powerful individual. But you know, I sat there and I thought, how can I make my mess my message? What is it in my life that I could share with you that perhaps could ignite a flame within you so that you could see that this mess, what appears to be a mess, is possibly a spiritual unfoldment for me? Because is it true? Could it be a spiritual unfoldment for somebody else? Yes, it can. But you first, I believe with all of my heart, we first must find that experience within ourselves before we can see that experience in others. And if you can see that experience in others right in the middle of your mess, by golly, it's right there within you. You can see the good in other people because the good is already in you, just waiting to come out and dance with you. So I gave you that opportunity. You know, Anita did it. She said, I had a choice to come back or not. She chose to return. I chose to return when I realized that heaven is a state, but not a place. It's a state of consciousness. Right? I love iPads. They're great, except for I haven't figured out how to keep the timeout from going every second. So I'm up here playing. I apologize, I'm really not playing a game. Although I do play solitaire on here. So she says, what do I have to do to get, what is this mess? Here I'm in this mess, and she has this cancer mess, right? That's her mess, because what is your mess? Is it a lost item? Is it a lost relationship? Are you going to have to go to have surgery because of your health? Have you put on an extra 10 pounds that you once didn't have and you'd really like to get rid of it, and it's causing you grief every time you go to put a new pair of pants on? Right? Is that your mess? It doesn't matter how small or how big, what is your mess? So then you get to look at it and say, I get to release this, right? So the first thing I see is see my mess. See the mess as the opportunity for growth. And then you get to look at it and say, release. I release any judgment that I have on myself. Because do you believe that if you're judging someone else, you are judging yourself? Yes. So releasing the judgment on that person, yes, that's all fine and good. But if you don't release that judgment on yourself, you will always hang on to that resentment. You will always hang on to that anger. I know this to be true. I've experienced it in my life. And I would love to tell you that I'm free from all of this, but I am not. I still, if I cut my hand, I still bleed red blood. So I'm still alive and here on this physical earthly plane. But the gifts is that when I get into that place of where I can feel myself judging and being mean to other people, or not liking where I'm in my thought process, I have the option of releasing and letting it go. I have that option to say yes to God, to say yes to being a higher spiritual self. I have the option of saying yes that I want to live. Yes, I want to see the good in that other person. Yes, I am good. Say that with me. Yes, I am good. Yes, God is good. Yes, God is good. Doesn't that feel good? That feels so much better than, can you believe what they did to me? Can you believe the bank foreclosed on my home because I did not make the mortgage payment for 6 months? Can you believe it? I'm just saying, right? Can you believe that God cut me off in the middle of the road because it is about me? Can you believe that person did that to me? What does that sound like to you? Right?
Not taking responsibility.
Not taking responsibility. I love that word, responsibility, until I have to do it, of course. But I love that word, responsibility, because I believe that that's what Myrtle and Charles Fillmore talks about in their writings, is taking responsibility. They say it as one of our 5 basic principles of our minds and our thoughts. Taking responsibility to stop and to go into prayer and to believe that there is only one God. Many paths, one God. When we release judgment, in Matthew chapter 5, verse 5, it says, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." What he might be saying, and if you're not familiar, we have a revealing word that Charles Fillmore said in his infinite wisdom, said, let's look beyond the literal word, and what does this statement really mean? And this is my interpretation of that. And it says, the meek are the ones who respond to all negative thoughts or actions with love. Love meaning capital L. That capital L it denotes God. It denotes source. That capital L means it's bigger than me. So it says, the meek are the ones who respond to all negative thoughts and actions with love and not with revenge. Or an eye for an eye. How many of you in your life right now could say that there's an eye for an eye going on within your family or within your dynamic? Okay, I'm the only one. Well, Charlotte and I. Now I'll give you the example of my daughter, right? So I love my daughter. She's 29. She's given me this beautiful grandchild. And my daughter's birthday was last month. I didn't get to celebrate it with her. First time in 29 years that I haven't celebrated her birthday with her. And I was okay with it, but I wanted to celebrate with her. So I said, let's go get a pedi-mani. Pedicure, manicure. Sorry, speaking different language. A pedi-mani. And let's do it Saturday. Do you think that'll be okay? Sure, once, Chico, Gabby is my granddaughter, her father gets home from work, we'll go. 4 o'clock, he's supposed to be home by 3. 4 o'clock rolls around, nothing. 5 o'clock rolls around, nothing. Then I'm thinking, okay, breathe. Now, are you doing this for her, or is it for you? And truth be told, it was for me as much as it was for her. And so I called, and it wasn't going to work. I said, okay, let's do it Monday. Okay, Monday will work. Perfect. Monday comes around, I get on the phone, I'm calling, I get off of work. Ding, ding, and it's nothing. No daughter picking up the phone. Doesn't that just frustrate you? You have something to do, just pick the phone up. Long and short of it all is, I don't talk to my daughter until Thursday, when I get my granddaughter. She's, hi Mom, how are you? And I've got some resentment and some judgment, and I haven't looked at how I'm going to spiritually handle this mess that I'm in, because the mess is up here. Do you believe that the mess isn't out here? It's here. It's here. This is fighting this. This is your biggest muscle in your body. Use it. Right? And I'm not there. No, I'm not there at all. So she goes on all nice and pretty, and she goes, what's wrong? And I'm like, you want to know what's wrong? And I decide to not be spiritual at all. And I let her know how I felt. And I let her know that you don't pick up the phone. We were supposed to do it on Saturday. It didn't happen on Saturday. That was fine. Then I call you on Monday. You don't pick up the phone. Then I call you again on Tuesday. It goes right to voicemail. So which says that you shut the phone off because you know your mother's going to be calling. And all you got to do, she doesn't want to hear me. I don't know why she doesn't want to hear me nagging. She doesn't want to hear me nag. So we go through this whole process. And she says, I never received one phone call from you. Now I'm a liar. That's what it felt like. So my mess has just become a mountain of chaos. And I said to my daughter, if I didn't call, or no, she says, never got a message, and I got messages from everybody else. And I just stopped. It like stopped me. And I realized that her truth was not the same truth that I had. I realized in that moment, how am I going to make my mess? Because I've created a mess because I just let loose on my daughter. I didn't use any foul language, so I got one mark for that one. But I emotionally let loose on my daughter. Some people might say I emotionally released my innards onto somebody else. And I realized that having any further conversation wasn't going to get me any further or her. So, needless to say, I got my daughter. My daughter didn't come. It's a ritual. She comes, she drops off, we spend time together. None of that happened. It's Friday. I'm thinking, okay, here we go. Long and short is my daughter said that, Mom, I don't understand, because I've said, or Saturday morning, and she says, I don't understand how you can be so nice. You let loose on me on Thursday. It was totally uncalled for. You were rude. You were rude. And I'm like, I don't think that was rude. And she says rude, so I haven't figured out what her definition of rude is, but whatever it was hurtful to her. Who are you being hurtful to? Sometimes our actions that are in disarray, that are messy, can hurt others. Do you believe or do you agree that there's something in your life right now that if you had said it a different way, got the same point across, that the message would have been received in a different manner? I believe that with all my heart. I haven't talked to my daughter still. That's okay. An eye for an eye, and that's her part right now. She's doing an eye for an eye. But what I got from that was my message for today. I thought, well, what mess am I going to talk about? Because I have plenty, right? And I thought, I want to use my daughter's experience because it truly wasn't about my experience with it. I emotionally released to her, and she got hurt. And I believe that each one of you can emotionally release in a more God-centered way. And reaching in and taking that mess and looking at the spiritual way that you can deliver it with other people. I believe that if we stop and just for a moment take a breath and look at what is the truth in this situation? That it can't stop somebody else from being hurt, but you can't absolutely stop anybody from feeling anything. But you can be good with your side of the street. I have spent the last several days beating myself up for not delivering the message correctly. Can you relate to that? Mm-hmm. So I invite you to let that go. Release that. You know, when we release any judgment that we have of ourselves, we are free to experience God. When we release any ill will towards somebody else, we are free to experience the joy that God has given us the right to have. I don't believe God gave you something and you something and not me the same thing. I believe that it is all encompassed. that it's up to us to look through the mess, find the spiritual meaning behind that mess. Release any judgment that you might have on yourself first about that situation. Release any resentment that you might have to that person for not picking up the freaking, for not, can I do that? Is that a spiritual term? Freaking? It is.
It is now.
In the Gospel of Michelle, freaking is a spiritual term. Is to release that resentment of her not picking up the phone. What resentment can you release? Think about that. When can you just totally embrace who you are and love you for who you are? And the last thing I want to share with you is take your experience and be of service to others. Share it. Isn't that what Jesus taught us this whole Easter, this whole Lent series and going up to Easter, and I did the Good Friday service and all of that, those moments where he just truly believed in that if he looked at the good in all things, that's all he would see. He didn't see a man with leprosy, he saw a man. He touched that man because he wasn't afraid of what everybody else saw on the outside. He saw love. You get to share that. Share your experience of how you've walked through it so that you can inspire and help other people be the best that they can be. You believe you can do that?
Yes.
We have prayer chaplains that are here today, that's what they believe. They believe that through their experience of prayer, that the feeling that they have gotten by this, that they can give back to you in greater, more meaningful ways. Angels in Actions here is another prime example of that. Somebody did something good for Carol, and Carol is now doing something good for you. She took her experience, she took the spiritual meaning behind what might have seemed like a mess. She released any idea of what it was supposed to look like, came from her heart, and shared it with another individual. Do you believe that? Did you see the flyer on that? I have to share it. If you didn't see it, I'll show you this again. This is about hands, caring hands. This is about heart, working from your heart. That is about making your mess your message. Love yourself because you are worth it. Love yourself because God didn't create any mistakes. Every mess is an opportunity for you to grow in a deeper, more profound way and have a deeper connection with the Spirit that resides within you. Love yourself. Be good to yourself and make your mess your message. Thank you.